Hi students, let us continue with the key concepts. So now let us see what is a secondary key or alternate key. The another name for secondary key is the alternate key. So the only different thing here is a secondary key is nothing but the remaining keys, remaining attributes that are present in a table, you call it as a secondary or alternate key. Let me write. A table may have one or more choices for the primary key. So if you take any table, that table can have one or more choices for the primary key. Collectively, these are called as, suppose if more than one is there, collectively these are known as candidate keys. So that I already explained. So if a table contains, suppose a student ID, name, phone number, age. So this is a table. So in this table, if suppose the student ID is acting as a primary key, the remaining key, suppose these two items is acting as a candidate key. So all the remaining keys you call it as a, other than primary key, the remaining keys you call it as a secondary key or alternate key. One is selected as primary. So here the student ID I selected as a primary key. So those are not selected. Or known as secondary or alternate key. So the name itself is saying alternate, other than the key, the remaining attributes are the secondary keys or the alternate keys. Or you can also call it as the candidate key which are not selected as primary key or known as secondary key or alternate key. So the candidate key, so these, everything you call it as a secondary. Why I call it as secondary key? So the candidate key which are not selected as a primary key. So the only difference is other than primary key, all keys are, so other than primary keys, all keys are called as secondary or alternate key. So in this secondary or alternate key, you are having the candidate key also. Means the candidate key is also present here. So candidate key is nothing but the minimal set of the keys. So here the phone name and the phone number is the candidate key, or simply the phone number is a candidate key. So other than primary key, the remaining keys, remaining attributes, you call it as a secondary or alternate key. Now coming to the next key. What is the next key? The last one, that is a composite key. Composite. So what this name indicating? Composite means it's a multiple. So if we use multiple attributes, suppose if you are using a multiple attributes to create a primary key, then that primary key is called composite key, also known as compound key or concatenated key. So another name for this composite key is compound, means you are combining compound or concatenated. Compound or concatenated key. So what is this multiple attributes to create a primary key, and that primary key is called composite key? Let me explain with example, then you'll understand. So if we have a customer ID and order ID, suppose here the sale details. So here in this table, I'm using two keys, the multiple keys, the customer ID as well as the order ID as a primary key. Means in this table I'm using two primary keys. So if you're using two primary keys, then you call it as a composite key. So if these two satisfies, these two fields are satisfied, then we can fetch the details, fetch or delete or modify the details in the table. Only if these two conditions is satisfied. So that you call it as a composite key, compound or concatenated keys. So if we use multiple attributes, that is a customer ID and order ID, to create a primary key, so these two becomes as a primary key. Means if you concatenate these two and make it as a one attribute, that you call it as a composite key. That here it's saying, if you use multiple attributes to create a primary key, then that primary key you call it as a composite key. Okay. So this is about keys. Thank you.